In 2007, the quiet, historic city of Perugia, Italy, became the setting for a tragic and sensational murder case that drew global attention, highlighting a clash of cultures, legal systems, and media scrutiny. This was the murder of Meredith Kercher, a 21-year-old British exchange student whose life was cut short in a case that would unfold dramatically in the world's headlines for years to come. Meredith Kercher had arrived in Perugia in August 2007 as part of her university studies to immerse herself in Italian culture. She shared an apartment with other students, including 20-year-old American Amanda Knox, who had come to Italy to study languages. The two young women initially appeared to get along well, living in the upper part of a charming two-story villa. They each had their own friends and social circles, but crossed paths in the apartment they shared. On November 1, 2007, Kercher's lifeless body was found in her bedroom. She had been stabbed, and the room showed signs of a struggle, suggesting she had fought for her life. Her body was covered with a blanket, a detail that led some experts to speculate that the killer had known her personally, as covering the body could indicate a sense of guilt or familiarity. Amanda Knox and her boyfriend, Raffaele Sollecito, were soon implicated in the murder. The prosecution painted a dramatic story, alleging that the murder had resulted from a dangerous sexual game that spiraled out of control. Adding to the mystery was the involvement of another suspect, Rudy Guede, a man from Ivory Coast who had a history of petty crimes in the area. Guede's DNA and fingerprints were found at the scene, particularly on Meredith's body and belongings. The Italian police, under intense pressure to resolve the case, conducted interrogations that would later come under scrutiny. Amanda Knox, who had been dating Sollecito for only a week, was questioned at length in Italian, a language she was still learning. The police claimed that Knox had implicated herself and Sollecito during these interrogations, but she later recanted, stating she was exhausted and intimidated during questioning. Adding further complexity, Knox accused her employer, or owner Patrick Lumumba, of involvement, although he was later cleared when his alibi was verified. Knox's statements, her behavior after the murder, and her inconsistent accounts became central to the prosecution's narrative. The media quickly seized on her character, dubbing her Foxy Knoxy, and painted her as an unpredictable foreigner with sinister motives. The prosecution argued that the murder was the outcome of a sexual game that involved Knox, Sollecito, and Guede. Prosecutors claimed that Knox, driven by jealousy or rivalry, had instigated the attack on Kercher. They used forensic evidence to support their theory, presenting a knife found at Sollecito's apartment that they allege was the murder weapon, with both Knox's and Kercher's DNA on it. Yet the forensic evidence was problematic. The DNA sample on the knife was small and potentially contaminated, which caused experts to question its reliability. Critics also pointed out flaws in the police handling of the evidence and questioned whether the knife even matched the wounds on Kercher's body. In 2009, Amanda Knox and Raffaele Sollecito were found guilty of Kercher's murder. Knox was sentenced to 26 years in prison, and Sollecito received a 25-year sentence. Guede was tried separately and was convicted, ultimately receiving a 16-year sentence after an expedited trial. This case, however, was far from over. Knox and Sollecito's defense team argued that the evidence was insufficient and poorly handled, leading to multiple appeals. The defense pointed to numerous procedural issues and discrepancies in witness testimonies. They argued that Guede, whose DNA was irrefutably found at the crime scene, acted alone and that Knox and Sollecito were innocent. Throughout the legal process, the case attracted unprecedented media attention, especially in the U.S., where Amanda Knox's family campaigned for her release, arguing that she had been wrongfully convicted. The media's portrayal of Knox, particularly in Italian and British tabloids, often leaned on stereotypes and sensationalized elements of her personality, leading to divisive opinions on her innocence or guilt. The differences in American and Italian judicial processes added to the cultural clash. In Italy, trials allow for appeals that can re-examine evidence and even fully retry cases, unlike in the U.S., where double jeopardy prevents retrials after acquittal. This led to public confusion and heated debates over Knox's fate and the reliability of the Italian legal system. In 2011, after years of appeals, a new review of the DNA evidence was ordered, leading to the conclusion that critical samples were unreliable due to potential contamination. As a result, Knox and Sollecito's convictions were overturned and they were released from prison. However, the Italian courts retried them in absentia after Knox returned to the U.S., reinstating the guilty verdict in 2013. Finally, in 2015, Italy's Supreme Court of Cassation definitively acquitted both Knox and Sollecito, citing a lack of credible evidence and significant investigative flaws. Rudy Guede remained the only person convicted of the crime, as he had not appealed on the same grounds and his guilt was supported by direct physical evidence. The murder of Meredith Kercher case remains one of the most infamous and controversial cases in recent history. The intense international media coverage created lasting impacts on those involved. Amanda Knox published a memoir detailing her experience, and her acquittal fueled discussions about wrongful convictions, media influence, and the complexities of the Italian judicial system. Meredith Kercher's family, meanwhile, has spoken out about the toll the case has taken on them. They expressed frustration over the lengthy legal battles and the media's often intrusive presence, and they continue to seek justice for their daughter. In the end, this tragic case exposed the risks of sensationalism in high-profile trials, highlighted differences in global legal standards, and underscored the personal toll on the families of victims and the accused. It remains a haunting reminder of the far-reaching effects of crime, both on individuals and across borders.